Have you ever actually thought about what happens to your trash after it leaves the curb? Well, welcome to this explainer because today we are diving into a totally fascinating story of how massive global geopolitics is quite literally violently colliding with local dumpsters. We're going to look at this crazy intersection of international trade policy and bleeding-edge, hyperlocal technology. It's a narrative that takes us from the very highest political offices in Washington and Ottawa, all the way down to a smartphone strapped to a construction bin. 3.46 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering amount in tons of municipal solid waste, or MSW, that Ontario exports and ships straight across the U.S. border to Michigan landfills every single year. Millions of tons of disposal just quietly rolling across international checkpoints from Ontario, Canada. But you have to ask yourself what actually happens to this invisible, highly reliant supply chain when those open borders suddenly thicken up. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're hitting the US-Canada trade war, the Michigan waste corridor, Ontario's garbage crisis, the digital refinery, the Pixel 10 Pro AI stack, and finally, the sentient bridge. Section 1. The US-Canada trade war. If you've been following current year-to-date headline news trends, you know that heading into 2025 and 2026, Washington and Ottawa are locked in this dizzying tit-for-tat trade dispute. It's completely reshaping North American supply chains. The timeline kicks off in February 2025, when Donald Trump and Washington initiated sweeping executive orders targeting Canadian goods. Almost immediately, by March 2025, Ontario retaliated with a temporary power surcharge on electricity exports. Fast forward to October 2025, and we see the total collapse of USMCA, or SUSMA as they call it in Canada, modernization negotiations. And all of this culminates in July 2026, when the U.S. uses Section 338 of the Tariff Act to drop 50% tariffs on Canadian goods. This isn't just standard political theater, folks. This is a profound structural shock to deeply integrated cross-border trade. And the political tension on the ground is absolutely palpable. Ontario Premier Doug Ford fired back directly, stating, "We need to stand up to the bully and we need to hit him tariff to tariff." Ontario really led the retaliatory charge here, enacting a strict moratorium on U.S. booze in provincial stores and floating those heavy electricity export surcharges. Both sides are playing serious hardball, pulling every single lever available in the USMCA and QSMA playbooks to exert pressure. Section 2. The Michigan Waste Corridor. So, how exactly does a macro-level trade war threaten hidden physical vulnerabilities? Well, remember that MSW disposal we talked about? Ontario's exports make up a whopping 14.35% of all waste disposed of in Michigan state landfills. That is an enormous reliance. Literally, nearly 1 out of every 7 tons of trash sitting in a Michigan landfill was shipped across the border from Ontario. It's a highly efficient corridor, sure, but one that is now incredibly exposed to the current geopolitical climate. And the financial stakes here? They are massive. For years, Michigan's tipping fee, the cost to actually dump the waste, was rock bottom at just 36 cents per ton. But Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer has proposed jacking this fee up to $5 per ton. That is a jaw-dropping increase of over 1,000%. The explicit goal is to bring fees in line with regional averages and specifically stop out-of-state and Canadian trash haulers from treating Michigan as a dumping ground. While this is technically domestic Michigan policy, right in the middle of a Washington-Ottawa trade war, it acts as a massive choke point for Ontario's waste disposal. Section 3. Ontario's looming garbage crisis. The plot thickens, because Ontario isn't just facing border tariffs and fee hikes. They're staring down a severe domestic regulatory cliff. By 2029, the ReWood mandate kicks in, which bans clean wood from landfills entirely. By 2034, Ontario faces total landfill capacity exhaustion. They literally just run out of room. And by 2036, the province's Circle levy is going to hit a punishing $60 a ton for mixed waste. So Ontario's waste is getting blocked at the U.S. border by tariffs and fees, and it's being banned or heavily taxed at home. The traditional mixed waste hauling model, it is officially dead. Section 4. The digital refinery. Whenever traditional models completely fail, hyper-niche innovation always steps in. Enter a company called 95 Wood. They define themselves not as a garbage hauler, but as a digital refinery. Basically, it's an industrial system converting chaotic construction waste into verified high-purity feedstock for the pyrogenic biocarbon market. They completely bypass all that geopolitical gridlock by choosing just one single material, wood. and flat out refusing to mix it with general municipal solid waste. The financial moat they have built here is just brilliant. By guaranteeing clean, uncontaminated wood right at the source, they secure an amber rate of just $10 per ton. Compare that to the mixed waste penalty rate of $60 per ton. It's a $50 spread created entirely by verifying the material before it ever even leaves the construction site. And the math on this is absolutely wild. Sorting clean wood saves a general contractor exactly $1,034 per 19.15-ton mothership walking floor trailer load in pure circle levy avoidance. Now scale that across a fleet of 50 units doing hundreds of loads a week. You are talking about massive economic insulation from both domestic taxes and those international border disputes. But the real question is, how do you actually guarantee that kind of purity at scale?
Section 5, the Pixel 10 Pro AI Stack.
To achieve this compliance without totally slowing down chaotic construction sites, 905 Wood actually moved the brain of their refinery directly to the dumpster itself. We are talking about a Google Pixel 10 Pro, running the brand new Android 16 OS. It's powered by the Tensor G5 silicon, built on a 3-nanometer process, and crucially, it utilizes the LiteRT AI stack running the Gemma 4E2B model with 2.3 billion parameters. This is what they call the 905 Wood Compliance Gate. It is literally industrial-grade edge AI operationalized on a smartphone bolted to a bin in Hamilton, Ontario. The digital refinery application workflow UI/UX is incredibly seamless. Step 1, AI intake. The device performs a binary classification of the wood in under 500 milliseconds. Step 2, the visual fallacy guard. If the AI confidence ever drops below 85%, a secondary consensus model kicks in to prevent any contaminated wood from passing. Step 3. If it passes verification, the system instantly generates a structured request for quote and a cross-border certificate of origin, completely ensuring USMCA compliance. And finally, Step 4. It outputs these beautiful, audit-defensible, net30 PDF documentation features, proving regulatory compliance to the government in real time. It's totally transparent and it's incredibly fast.
Section 6, the Sentient Bridge.
By operationalizing the Google Pixel 10 Pro and that LiteRT AI stack, 905 Wood acts as what they call the sentient bridge. It's this perfect digital and physical bridge between chaotic construction waste and the incredibly strict high-purity requirements of the biocarbon market. So while Washington and Ottawa are throwing tariffs at each other and Michigan is actively trying to block mixed waste, this system quietly secures Ontario's industrial leadership in the global circular bioeconomy simply by verifying clean feedstock at the source. So I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. How exactly does local edge AI on a smartphone solve international trade wars? Well, it doesn't fight the tariffs. It just simply reclassifies the physical world so accurately that the tariffs and the bans no longer even apply. It bypasses the geopolitical breakdown entirely. It is a stunning intersection of tech and trade, and it definitely leaves you wanting to learn more about how artificial intelligence is going to continue to just route around political roadblocks. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.